Please turn off the ad block, subscribe, and share. Links will be below for anyone wanting to support this channel.
Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechFuseNope, and today I am doing a full tutorial on Outlook 2016. Outlook 2016, you can get it by having Office 2016 or Office 365. Now, as far as this goes, this is the newest version of Outlook. And the one thing I will mention is if you're looking at upgrading from a recent version to this, I don't think it's worthwhile. However, if you're from like 2010 as far as the Outlook to now, it might be worthwhile enough because of performance gain. But feature wise, personally, I don't think there's enough. And to be honest, I don't think there ever will be, because it's kind of topped out. Unless if someone comes up with some genius idea that no one's thought of, there's not much you can add to it. But maybe you find some features that you like that will convince you to switch over. So with this, let's jump on in and go into this. So as far as Outlook, what is it? Outlook syncs up to your email, to your calendar, contacts, and other things. It's a quick area. Instead of you have to go to a browser and pull up your email each and every time, maybe your online calendar, you can go to Outlook and get everything there. Now keep in mind, obviously it's not a browser itself, so it has its own limitations, and that's a good thing. Now, as far as that goes, the one thing I want to do is to start from the left side to left bottom, and we're going to work our way around as I see fit, so I can help you locate what you need to do on time. But as far as that goes, let's start. On the bottom left side, the mail icon, if you click this and you're on anywhere else on the application, this will take you to the mail side. For the calendar icon, if you click that, it will take you to the calendar. And if you click the contacts, it takes you to contacts, to do, it will take you to the to do, and so on. Now keep in mind, it is possible to get add-ins for this. I don't know what the limitation of that is, as far as if it's just ribbon limitations or will you be able to add more features. But it potentially is possible to add more things in there, but I wouldn't expect much more, because like I said, there's not much else you can do with this beyond what's here. Maybe make things a little bit more stable, make it a little bit more, in fact a lot more user-friendly, things of that nature. So let's go into the ribbon top area. One thing I want to mention is I want to keep the ribbon open if possible. Let's show it how to collapse it real quick. So to collapse it, you just need that icon to pin it open, because otherwise you'll just, when you're going through your settings, you have to keep clicking back up here. To pin it, just select Home, Send, Receive, Folder, View, and click the Pin the Ribbon button, or hold down Control and F1 real quick, and that will pin it. And as you see here, everything will move down to, because it's pinned now. That way, you don't have to keep it in Home, Send, Receive, and so on to keep pulling it down. I think by default it's unpinned, so you might be wondering how to get a ribbon, and that's how, is by clicking one of them and just pin it. I don't know why people won't want that way, unless if their screen's very small. From here, let's keep in mind that this is the mail interface. As you see, if we switch from one interface to the next, from calendar, mail, and so on, you will have a different interface. So with the mail interface, let's go into what each section is from the Home tab. You have new, and this means new email or new items, appointments, contacts, and so on. You have delete. This includes how to assign to junk mail. Respond, you have obviously forward and reply and stuff like that. Quick steps. Then we have move. We have tags, find, and so on. And usually the so on is add-ins, which I'll show you how to get in a second. Let's go to send and receive by left clicking it. You have send and receive the group, download, and server. Let's go to folder, new, action, cleanup, favorites, and properties. Now, as far as the folders, these are something to help you sort out your emails. So for example, if I get emails from family, I might make a family folder. That's a simple way to put it. And in real life, I actually do have this, where if I buy something, I got a folder named buy, and I'm able to just put anything, like say if I buy something off Amazon, I can put it in that folder, and that way if the product doesn't come in or something like that, I can check that folder instead of it clogging up my inbox. Now let's go to view, and we have layout, people pane, and window. Now as far as this goes, I will recommend that you learn the view a little bit more, because this is what can help you. As you see here, I'm able to change things massively right here. I can change the to-do to calendar, people, task, and so on, and it's all over here on the right side in case you were missing it. And if I want to close it, I just press the X, and that closes that pane. If I want to open it back up, I can come back over here, and I can open up a people pane and someone. So I'll advise you to check out the layout, at least when you're first getting started, so you can get a general sense of things. And you can resize these, by the way, so it should help you out a bit if you especially have a small monitor. What I'll advise you to do to make things easier is just making it where you're not cutting off any words, but making the sidebars go as close as possible to cutting off any words. The reason why is it maximizes your area to read your emails. And as far as that goes, let's go back to home and explain what each one does. New makes new emails and stuff. Delete obviously deletes things. Responds to stuff. Quick step is just quick things you do. Move is to move things, mail to certain areas. Tags is to tag it so you know what to read, or if you want to mark it as unread, you can do that. And find, it helps you find it. This other area I'm just going to leave as is because that's add-ins. Send and receive is, as it sounds, it sends and receives. The reason why this is important is if you're in a given area, either in DataCap or something else, then you can use the send and receive all folders or send and receive groups. That way you can control how much data goes across. You'll find this especially a huge factor back in the day when phone internet was around. Downloads, you can show progress, cancel all, and again, that has to deal with data. Servers, this is more business. I'm going to stay away from this as far as explaining that so we don't get too complicated. But this goes into business, and if you do need to know more about this, I'll ask the companies that you're working for, just ask them, the IT department, for more information and training on that portion. For the folder, the thing to keep in mind is, again, you can make a new folder to sort out your stuff. Actions, what you want to do with the folder, rename, copy, delete, so on. cleanup, you can say mark all messages as read or not. Show in favorites, so your favorite folder. So for example, if a meeting's coming up and I need information off of it, I might put it in favorites. Properties, it's properties of stuff. And again, we already went through view. So let's go down to the bottom area real quick before we move on to calendar. So on the left side, and in fact, let me pull up the stuff on the to-do bar. On the left side, what you have is favorites, and this gets into your inbox and so on. You can add things into here, and you have below it down here is inbox, draft, and so on in your Outlook data file. To remove something from your favorites, just simply right click it and go to remove favorites. You can also right click any of these and do any of the following from the drop down menu. But one thing I would advise you to do is keep the inbox on a favorites if possible. And that way you have quick access, because keep in mind your messages will come in and land in the inbox. Sent items, I also really tell you that you need to keep that in the favorites too, so you can easily come back to it if need be, and delete items also. Now, as far as that goes, down here, if you want to add something to the favorite files, all you have to do is click on one of these and show in favorites. And if you want to move it up or down, you can do it right here as it says move up, which means it just moves up. Or if you want to remove, you just do remove. It's pretty simple, and it's pretty intuitive. Now, as far as things goes, let's get into properties real quick before we move on. To get into properties, just right click, go down to properties. And this is very important. You can get the thing, it'll show a number of whatever, either how many unread messages or total messages, so you can tell it which one you want to see. And then the other thing I want to mention, you can change the name, by the way, right there. I suggest for inbox and send and delete to not change names. It's also junk mail, but any folder that you originally make, I think it's perfectly fine to change those names. But anything like inbox or whatever, the reason why I say don't change those names is because they are commonly associated with everything else like inbox, junk mail, and so on, because all services nowadays have inbox, draft, sent, delete, junk mail. Anyways, let's go to auto archive. You can auto archive your stuff. Personally, I don't suggest this, but maybe if you're in business, it might be worthwhile. Again, if you're in the company, talk to your IT people and they'll tell you what their recommendations are on this. Each company will have a different recommendation. So the following areas do the following things, and keep in mind this is the home like screen. So we have a counter on the left side, task in the middle, and messages on the right. All your counter events will show on the left side, all your tasks will show in the middle, and your messages as far as the information and stuff will show on the right. Because we don't have an account connected to this, it's going to look like this, and it's very important to note that yours will be fleshed out and there will be quite a bit of information there. This is one thing that a lot of users have been complaining about a while back, that it's just information overload. But in many cases, a lot of people, they have to have it like this. And it's up to you. You can personalize it as far as things goes, but it's up to you on to finding a happy medium. Now, you can go to one of these things, and let's go to messages, and let's go to view real quick, and you'll notice a dramatic change with the view ribbon When we go to messages, by just clicking messages, you will notice plenty of things just got added into the view. So let's go down the line real quick, and for the most part you won't see really any difference in the stuff except for really the view, because that's really all that's really changed. So now what do you see? Well, on the left side we have all the messages. In the right side is where the message will display. So for example, if I sent you a message, you will see, like any other email service, my name, the subject line, maybe the first few sentences, and then the right side will be the message itself with all the information. That is the crucial point into this, and this does make it a little bit more simple, especially since you can open and close these side panels. Again, the side panels being at this time calendar, contacts, and to-dos. So for example, we can close all of them, and now this entire side is meant for the message itself. So as far as that goes, what are the new views? Basically, we got the ability to change the view, and this is kind of important in itself. We can change it to however we like, because again, like I said, a lot of people have complained about how much information is on the screen. All of it's good information and need to know information, but it's thrown out to you all at once. So a way that Microsoft has tried to fix this is by making it where you can change the view to what you need. Keep in mind, even if you work at a company, your view might be different from your next door neighbor. So with this, you can change the view to preview, single, and compact. I would highly suggest that you actually go and try to look at each one. When your inbox is full, look at each one and see what you like. I'll also suggest that you can go to manage view, and you can get more information and edit this. Or if you're not comfortable with that, go to view settings, and you can go and add more things here, because again, you can take away things or add things depending on how much information you're okay with taking in at any given point. Now, in fact, that's one of the first things I recommend that you do when you get on Outlook 2016, because normally you won't change it in the future because you just get used to it. But again, the same problem happens, and if you use one of previous Outlook systems, you probably notice that you get tired very quick from getting all the information in, and you might as well just change it when you first get it. So you can also do the messaging, so show conversations. You can do conversation settings, message preview, and so on. So as far as that goes, that is the basics of the mail portion. There's a little bit more to it. Like, you can click on the area to get new email, so you can write a new email. Of course, since I'm not signed in, it's probably going to ask me to sign in if I try to send something. But for the most part, let's actually try that real quick. So let's just try a fake email address. And again, it's going to ask me to sign in. And I'm just going to hit cancel because I don't want to sign in just yet. But let's say that we want to save this as a draft. What we can do is go to the top left and save. And you can also go to file and go through this and save or save as, and so on. And as far as this area, I'm going to get into this in a second, so don't worry about that. But let's save that real quick and exit out. Now, one thing you'll notice is we have a 1 byte draft. And what drafts are, for those of you who don't know, these are emails that you started but has not sent. So therefore it's sitting there in the draft box. So it's kind of like a rough draft for a paper. That's basically what it is. So you can review it, you can edit, do whatever you need. In many cases, on when I'm working on a project and I don't have a notepad or anything with me, I might take out my phone and write an email to myself without sending it, and that way I can look at a draft and when I get home and say, oh, this needs to be done, and that's that. So now that I selected a draft, you can actually see the email who I was sent it to. Again, that's fake, the subject and everything else, and you can see the stuff over here. Now what we can do is we can either go to home and delete, or we can right click and go to delete, or click here to delete. Either one, it's up to you. But the reason why I made this is this gives you a lot of the options that you would when you have an email come in. You will have an option of copying it, quick print, replying it, again, what you get up here, and so on. Now, as far as the junk mail, you can block the sender, and you can even block the domain. So when you get junk email and it is, you know, take this free trip or some Bible thing, block the domain. And in fact, one thing I'll tell you right now is this is where Gmail does succeed. It's the reason why spam filtering in Gmail succeeds over all the others is purely how the users are, as far as how many users use Gmail, plus how the actual software works. How the software works on many other systems other than Gmail, basically what happens is it blocks the sender and that's it. Or it might block the domain, but it doesn't look for kind of likes. So if they change one character, then there's nothing that their system could do. Whereas Gmail, what they do is, if I say this guy's spam and you say someone's spam and so on, so on, so on, the system recognizes after so many people say something's spam that it's spam. And what happens when someone sends a message to a mass amount of people, and we're talking about hundreds of people at the same time, off a private network, the thing goes out in waves, and then it takes a look at it, and that way if it is spam, the damage will be minimized as much as possible. That's the reason why most people almost never get spam by Gmail. It's simply because the system is able to use what everybody says and say, is this person spam or not? Obviously you can go in junk mail and say, yeah, this person's not really spam, but still that's the best solution. In fact, what a lot of companies are using nowadays is Gmail type clients. They're using the company domain, but Gmail clients, so the Gmail servers filter it. And I've even seen it where the company will actually go, and I personally had this, where the company will have the email forward to Gmail, go through, and the Gmail will just filter out, and like it literally filters out a lot of the spam and stuff. But as far as that goes, let's move on with this. Let's go ahead and delete that, so we don't need that anymore. So as far as that goes, let's go into, and I know I went a little bit quick in everything, but I'm assuming that you have some prior knowledge into this. Like for example, the view, the zoom on the bottom, reading view versus normal view. I'm assuming that you already have a little bit of knowledge into this, so we can make things a little bit faster. But as far as that goes, the let's move on to the calendar. To switch to the calendar, we go to the bottom left and click the calendar icon, and this will go to the calendar. The calendar in itself, it's pretty simple as far as how you can use it. All you have to do is, like any other digital calendar, select the date that you want to schedule events. So for example, just for kicks, just schedule that day, that random day, and let's make a subject, whatever we want to call it. So go to blah, location blah, and we can set the day and time, or if it's an all-day event. And from here we can add more information, blah blah. On top of this, we can tell it if we want to save and close, like if everything's good. Copy to my calendar if we want to see the calendar, if we got a free time in that area. Forward, scheduling an appointment for OneNote stuff. And by the way, I have OneNote videos coming out. And show as free, busy, or so on. Reminders, recurrences, time zones, categories, and so on. This is just the event tab. The insert tab is, as you may guess, when you insert stuff, you probably will be not using this part at all. If you end up using it, it probably on the rare side. And if you do end up using it quite a bit, tell me what industry you're in, or if you're not in an industry, why do you use this? Because for me, I can't really think of a reason why someone would use like smart art or something like that in a calendar. So we got format text. This again would be more for sending the calendar information out to multiple people, review, and so on. And then we go into file and we can do it save, save as, print, close, and other options. Let's save this, and let's in fact save and close. So now that we got a calendar event, what we can do is click on it, and now you can see that on the right side it is saying the subject, the location, start time, end time, and description. This is very important, and this is very important to understand as far as this goes. You can resize it and everything. It all advised to have this actually much bigger than what you normally would, but the one thing to keep in mind is this, you're probably going, if you're an average person, you're probably going to need the least amount of information, so I'd say resize this as much as possible, and that way you can get as much information as possible up here. For whatever reason, the thing thinks I'm in Washington DC, and I definitely am not, but the thing will give me a 3-day forecast if your location changes, if it detects a change. As far as city, it will use your IP address for this. By the way, if you don't know anything about IP addresses, I get videos on it and how to keep your information secure and what IP scanners are. But anyways, if it thinks you're in a given location, it will try to pop it up and give you the forecast, 3-day forecast on that. Or you can add a location if you're having trouble with it. So from here, what we can do is quite a few things. We can go back to home, make another appointment, change the view. We can go to schedule view, month, week, and so on. I prefer month. And we can also even see next 7 days. So what do I got going on for next 7 days, or what's going on today. So we can also go to open calendar, like work calendar, personal calendar, and so on. Calendar groups, email calendars, publish online, and so on. Send and receive is, say for example, if I had this linked up to my Gmail or Tech Reviews and Help email and stuff like that, I can actually have this syncing back and forth between those counters. I can see the progress for downloads, folders, and again the view. Now, as far as the view goes, we can change the view of the counter from preview, which is one thing a lot of people prefer because it looks like the old-fashioned stuff, and it's less information. So, as far as things goes, it's not as cluttered and it's easier to see at a glance. We got list, which a lot of people don't like because it's very difficult since there's a lot more information. Cluttered, active, and let's switch back to counter. View settings, we can change the view settings, and then the arrangement as before. On top of this, we got time scale, color, what each panel does, reminder window, and that. So as far as the left side, what do we have here? We have a counter of the next month and this month, and we can go back and forth by using the arrows and actually see what day it is today by the blocked out day. From here on the bottom, we can see our calendars. So you might see it as work or Gmail or something like that. It's down here. You can actually select which calendars you want to filter out stuff, so it makes it easier to see. And yeah. Now, as far as the overall look, the color, I will explain how to change the colors and stuff, especially for nighttime users like myself. But I figure it's best to keep it as it is because most people don't change that, and it's best to keep it as simple as possible for now. So let's go to contacts. For contacts, it's just like before. As far as contacts, we have a list, ABC, and numerical. The contact group, we can search for the contact. We can add contacts. We can separate in folders. And as seen here, we can refine it and do options and stuff on the search bar. For view, it's pretty much the same as before. So since I've already been this 2 or 3 times, let's move on. Folder, pretty much the same as before as mail. And send receive is same as before as the mail. In home, we can add a new contact here, or we can right click the area to add a new contact or a new contact group. Let's add a new contact. To add a new contact, you just select add new contact or right click and select add new contact there. This page will pop up. You can put in the full name, company, and so on, whatever information that you want here. Anything with a drop down list, you can change the information. And on the right side is notes. Keep in mind there's a picture. If the person has a LinkedIn profile, that's the best place to get a picture off of if possible. You can add a picture from your computer, do a business card, and the business card will show up over here. You can call, and with some of the call functions, depending on if you got this set up right, the Skype can actually call from the computer. And there's more information. A lot of this is pretty much something you can look at in details. It's pretty much self-explanatory. You can look at it and see what it does. Insert, you can add these things, table, illustrations. Again, I'm not sure why you will want to do that. Links, so their website and stuff, text and so on, format text, and review. Now as far as the file, we got info, save as, all like before. Let's add a contact. Let's do my contacts. Obviously, I'm not going to put in all my contact information. So as far as, I don't remember the email off the top of my head, but as far as the information goes, as you can see, as we're filling it out here, it's filling out over here. And even though I put second on the end, it does not show up here as file, but will show up down here as display. And also will show up over here. So and for legal purposes, use that. And as you can see here, because it's business, it will say work over here. So let's save this and close this. You can see we got our first contact, which is my name, obviously. I can click on it. If we double click on it, it gives me the information, email, phone, and so on. And I can add more information by selecting the plus button and adding more. Do cancel, and I can actually see more of what I can do with this. So schedule a meeting, send an email, and view source, and so on. Now, as far as this goes, we can also view different things, the business cards, which is actually what a lot of people tend to do because it makes things easier. Cards, phone, list, and so on. Now, as far as going beyond this is up to you, let you explore a bit, but for the most part, I would suggest again to change the view settings as you want so it's easy to find whatever. But I'm about going to guarantee you 9% of your time in the contacts is going to be in the search, where you know the person's name or the company they worked for or something like that. So you will just go into search. And if you wanted to, you can even refine it a little bit more. As far as the search, has a home number, which no one does, has a mobile number, so on. And instead of having to type out the code like before, you can just have the thing do it for yourself. Now let's go into how to get rid of the contact. You simply right click and select delete, and that's that. It's good to do before we get into the options and before we go any further. So to do, it's as like the counter. Let's click that. Must be residual information. To do is like the counter. It shows you task. So say for example, I need to take out the trash. I need to make sure the copier has paper. I need to make sure I fill up my car. You can add tasks like that in here. It's up to you. Obviously your tasks can vary depending on what your lifestyle is like. And for me, you will see in the previous video, I use OneNote for a lot of my tasks on these videos. But in fact, let's get into this real quick. I use, for reminders, I use Cortana quite a bit for make a video on the cloud, start a Office tutorial, so on and so on. And that is very important in itself, and this is what this does in a sense. So that's something to keep in mind in itself. But this is also better organized than Cortana mess. So with this, let's go and add a new task by right-clicking the area and select Add New Task. Like before, like the calendar, you'll have the same interface. Start date, end date, and so on. Do a save and close. It's very similar in the aspect. And you can see when you click on it, this stuff shows up on the right side. You can see how much of it is completed if you do set up your stuff right. And this is very important when it comes to using it with Gantt charts and program management. Now, as far as this goes, this should filter out by the date. So it makes it easier to figure out what's new. You can also prioritize, activate, complete, which we don't have anything completed, simple list, and detailed list. Most people use it on the to-do list. On the left side, my task, it's basically like everything else is in groups. And with this, let's go through the ribbon for new, like before the mail and stuff. Respond, manage tasks is where I can click on this and say remove from list or mark as complete. So I can mark that as complete. That's that. Follow up. So if I want to do a follow up on it, current view as is shown a second ago, actions, tags, and so on. Let's go to send receive. It's just like the mail. Folders, it's like the mail, except for the share. You can share open task or share task. View, it's kind of like before. The only difference is the arrangement. Message preview, which that portion was like the mail. Change the view type. So if I wanted to complete, I can see that over to assign and so on. And everything else is fairly similar. To delete, all you have to do is right click and go down to delete. You can forward tasks and stuff like that, like everything else. It's pretty straightforward as far as forward testing. And I know I'm going a little bit fast in this, so if you feel like I'm missing out on anything that's critical, or you have questions on any of these things, feel free to let me know. But most people ain't sticking around this long in the videos. So let's go to files and try to end this video shortly by going to options. Options allows you to do things within the settings. We can change the look and everything. So if we go to general, we can actually change the background look. And what this will do is this will change the look of the background area. But let's go down to office theme, and we want to go to dark gray. If we select OK, we can see it changed. For the background, let's try something like that, and you can see up here on the top right a little change right there. This is a feature that was added in Windows 8 as far as the background for certain applications. They expand it to all Office applications. So that's something to keep in mind, and it's also something to keep in mind that you can sync this across your systems. So it's up to you what exactly you want to do. I've never seen them add more, and to be honest, that's pretty much it, so it's not a big deal. But you can sync it by pressing OK. And let's go down the list to important highlights. If we go to the username, we can see the name that we put in, the initials, and that's not my initials, obviously, but I'll fix that later off camera. For mail, choose how to compose messages. We can say always check spelling before sending. I highly recommend that. And then I highly recommend, if you're working for a company and doing a company email, is making a signature. I got a video on how to do that, and I've already showed how to make a proper one. And you can set sounds and stuff like that for incoming mails and so on. As far as the calendar, you can set the time as far as when you want things to say, when's a work hour or not. Also, start day of the week. This goes into your calendar's looks. And we can go further. So skipping through a lot of this stuff, let's go all the way down to events. For the events, what we can see is Outlook start and exiting. And you can empty, delete items when you're exiting. And there is a few other things you might want to keep in mind. Now, one thing I want to mention here while I jump to events is the hardware graphics acceleration. If you are running into problems with slowdown, because Outlook does take a lot of resources, I personally don't like it. I don't really use it. I might start getting into it, mostly because I don't want to keep Chrome on for whatever reasons, or another browser on for whatever reasons. But I've seen a lot of computers where it slows it down massively. So the best way to fix this, and keep in mind that depending on your settings and everything, this may actually destroy hard drives. I've seen it with Outlook where it sucks down so much information that something like a SSD, where it has a limited amount of writes, which all of them do have limited amount of writes, by the way, you can use up a lot of that. So I would highly advise trying something else than Outlook, but if you have to do it for business reasons, disabling hardware and graphics acceleration may be worthwhile if you're doing CAD and other things and it's slowing down other processes, and those other processes require the graphics acceleration. For example, Adobe Premiere and video editing and stuff. It's one reason why you don't see any video editors really use Outlook, especially on a computer that are video editing on, or even CAD. So let's go down to custom ribbon so we can customize things that it says. Quick access bar, add-ins. This is where you can add things into the ribbon area and other areas. And Trust Center. So as far as that goes, again, I know this has been slightly fast for some, slightly long for others. One thing I advise is if you do continue to have problems, go ahead and go to the search bar at the right up here and search for any problems that you may come across. If that can't help you, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I might make another video, and I'll even spotlight you in the video if I make one based on your question. But feel free to ask questions if need be. Add information in if you want. And if you have a video of your own on Outlook, then feel free to leave that down below in the comment section. And please feel free to, and please make sure that you tell me what the video is about, so I don't think it's just random spam. And that way, if the spam filter catches it, I can say, oh, this ain't spam, and I don't have to worry about things. But anyways, as far as that goes, feel free to like, subscribe, and share if you like this. And also, please feel free to go to our Patreon campaign and help us grow by donating there. But if you don't like this for whatever reason, go ahead and leave a dislike and tell me why, so I can fix in future videos. But again, this has been Craig Bennett, founder of Tech Views. Hope you have a great day.